It's Friday, August 2. In the headlines in local news, OUR issues directive to JPS to restore power in affected communities. In business news, as millions pour in through charities for hurricane relief, NCB Foundation and the Jamaica Social Stock Exchange tackle relief transparency. Regionally, CARICOM leaders anticipate elections in Haiti in 2025. And in sports, Caribbean sprinters excel in women's 100-meter heats at Paris Olympics. This is the weekend news on PBC Jamaica. I'm Whitney Clark. The Office of Utilities Regulation, OUR, has directed the Jamaica Public Service Company, JPS, to comply with the timeline given for the restoration of electricity in affected communities post-Hurricane Beryl. Director General of the OUR, Ansel Hewitt, made the disclosure at Wednesday's post-cabinet media briefing at the Office of the Prime Minister. He says JPS had indicated to the regulatory body that full restoration to impacted communities will be completed by August 12.
Since the commencement of the restoration activities, the process has been under constant regulatory monitoring, and the OUR has had several meetings with the JPS to address certain developments and issues in the system restoration process. We have conveyed to JPS in all our engagements that we expect that it will exercise all diligence to expedite restoration. In our last meeting with JPS on Monday, July 29, they assured us that all service will be restored by the 12th of August.
However, Mr. Hewitt says up to Monday, the number of customers without power was 2,514 and noted a directive became necessary as JPS missed previously established restoration deadlines.
The OUR is aware that these dates and numbers are very small comfort to customers who have been without service since July 3, and so we have urged the company to take every possible step, including the engagement of additional resources to shorten these timelines. In any event, given that the company has missed previously established restoration dates, the OUR will be issuing a directive for it to comply with the timelines it has given. If they are missed, the JPS will be required to show that it took all reasonable steps within its means to have secured compliance.
The agriculture sector suffered just about $6 billion in losses from Hurricane Beryl's passage. The update came from Minister of Agriculture, Fisheries and Mining, Floyd Green. He told Parliament recently that the cost to get the crop sector to return to its pre-Beryl state has increased by an additional $2 billion. It's one thing to hear about the damage, and it's another to see it firsthand. Our news team paid a visit to one of the largest banana producers in Jamaica to do just that.
300 acres of crops were affected during the passage of Hurricane Beryl at JP Farms in St. Mary. We're here to find out what they did to prepare before the hurricane and what are their plans going forward. We have our disaster preparation divided into different categories. So we have the ones directly related to the field and the ones related to housing and welfare of our workers. Because here at JP Farms, we take into consideration that our people are one of our main assets, and without our people, we're not able to continue our operations, right? So now let's delve into the one directly related to the field. Whether that be in pineapples, bananas, plantains, or even our guavas are well nutrified. So that includes ensuring that they have the adequate nutrients. So we have different programs where we incorporate organic and other types of fertilizers along with our technology-based system with the irrigation system. So we ensure that we put adequate water at adequate time to ensure that the root systems are well developed to sustain any disaster that we face.
Kadeen Jordine, Technical Program Coordinator at JP Farms, says once the human resource safety plans were complete, the cold rooms were prepared.
We ensured that our cold rooms had enough generator fuel so that in the case where we're going to experience any loss of fruits, we'll have the capacity to get those fruits and have them stored in the cold room so we can have them readily available for our customers.
Team lead Rashane Ford says the staff on duty were placed in an emergency shelter. He explains what they observed during the storm.
Just to see, the banana plants being toppled, it was a heart-rendering experience, honestly. Yeah, because this was my first hurricane while at JP Farm. The same day we did a visual damage control in which we drove through all the farms and just to visually see, kind of give a degree of what the damage was. And then the following day we had an official damage control meeting in which what we did was meet with all the supervisors, assessed some of the damages, assess our programs in just getting up as fast as possible and getting recovery up as fast as possible.
Farm Supervisor Kavash Bowes explains that after the hurricane, the farm was cleared and the surviving crops were harvested.
We use an overhead aerial system to help us with the guiding of our banana, where we tie a twine to this to prevent our plants from toppling. However, it fell down on the aerial cable, so we use bamboos to raise the line so we can have access to the wheel and the space we're passing. Right? If you look behind of you, you can see where one of the wires is on the cable line right here. Right here. So what we do is in order to get full access for the materials to pass, we have to raise our aerial cable so we get access to go into the farms with all the materials. If the plant is not disconnected, right, the fruit will not spoil. So what we do is we rush to take up the fruits off the ground because that one will burn and damage at a more faster rate than if it's on the tree, right? So it's that we try to go through and try to save all the plants that are on the ground first, and then after, in our second cycle, we can take the plants that are still on the tree. In a case like this with a fruit that's been overgraded or it's been ripe, we would just normally mince. The reason why we mince it is because the banana, it produces a ripening hormone called ethylene, and if we have a fruit like this that's ripening, it will trigger ripening in all of the other fruits.
General Manager at JP Farms, Mario Figueroa, says despite all the damage, he remains positive. He says the young banana plants are evidence that JP Farms will be back at full production before the year ends.
I am Christian, and I know what happened is because it's part of a plan. I don't feel sad or nothing like that. This just pushed me to try to improve, to have something better than what I have. And if you see, this is the same spirit, the guys. None of them is complaining, none of them is crying, no.
He says that the team is working to get the farm back to full operation as soon as possible.
The command we heard from our board telling us, resuscitate the farm as soon as possible, go back to production as soon as possible because we need to feed Jamaica.
Simone Absalom Gay reporting for the news on PBCJ.
Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Education, Dr. Kassan Troop, says the ministry is in advanced discussions with overseas-based institutions to recruit teachers to fill the shortage in local schools. Danita Rodney has the story.
The Permanent Secretary gave the update at the post-cabinet press briefing on Monday.
We have a number of international organizations that have been in Jamaica recruiting. But interestingly, as we are trying to put our response together for this year, we have been addressed by other international countries. Actually, they came to us indicating that Jamaica is a lovely place. They have oversupply of teachers, and they would want their teachers to have the opportunity to serve in Jamaica.
A recent report from the Education Ministry stated that 854 teachers resigned between January and September last year. This has caused principals and school boards to be concerned about the upcoming school year. Dr. Troop noted that foreign recruits are willing to accept the offered salaries.
What is interesting with this discussion, colleagues, is that they are interested in working for the same emoluments as we offer to our teachers in Jamaica. Nothing more, and in some instances, we are getting a number of volunteers who have also expressed some interest in being deployed to assist with our shortage that we have right here in Jamaica. And predominantly our areas are mathematics and the sciences for this year.
Meanwhile, Dr. Troop says the ministry will employ several other strategies to bridge the teacher shortage gap.
So, for the way forward, we have our Cuban program. Those persons are with us. We have 75 of those persons with us, and they are coming back to Jamaica to start in the new academic year. In addition to that, we have nationals from 15 other countries right here in Jamaica. So that's about 90 persons already serving in our education system. And a number of those persons were recruited through schools, with, of course, the ministry's blessing. So those persons are already deployed, and they're from the USA, from the Philippines, from Nigeria, from India, and a number of other countries. And now we are being joined again with the interests of the Philippines, Ghana, and we are looking forward to those conversations.
Reporting for the news on PBCJ, I am Danita Rodney.
According to reports from the Meteorological Service, a tropical wave just east of Jamaica is expected to move across the island throughout today. Jamaicans should, therefore, brace for periods of showers and thunderstorms, especially across northern parishes as a result. Weather forecast is as follows. This afternoon, expect periods of showers and thunderstorms across parishes, especially northern parishes. Tonight will be mostly cloudy. Isolated showers and thunderstorms across southeastern parishes. On Saturday, isolated morning showers across southeastern parishes, otherwise mostly cloudy. Afternoon showers and thunderstorms across western parishes and some hilly areas, otherwise partly cloudy and windy. On Sunday, expect isolated afternoon showers and thunderstorms across western parishes and hilly areas, otherwise partly cloudy in the day and windy conditions. On Monday, expect widely scattered showers and thunderstorms across central and western parishes. In the business report, as hundreds of millions of dollars of donations pour into various charities for hurricane relief, the concern for transparency is being addressed by organizations such as NCB Foundation and its partnership with the Jamaica Social Stock Exchange. We learn more in this report.
We are joined by renowned businesswoman Thalia Lynn, OD, JP, LLD honors, BA honors. And, we can see from the recent natural disaster that giving to charities that are transparent is so critical. So, first of all, welcome Ambassador Lynn.
Thank you.
Yes, and you are the ambassador for the Jamaica Social Stock Exchange.
That's correct.
All right, so the critical thing we want to ask for our news segment is, why is transparency in charitable giving so important?
Everybody wants to know that their money is being administered in a transparent and accountable way. In other words, every dollar that goes in, you have to tell them how that dollar is spent.
And the social stock exchange does that
perfectly.
Wow.
Right? Everybody can be assured that they will make sure you give to an entity, it's going to that entity. Even if another entity needs it more, that's not going to happen.
Right. And so this transparency, the platform of the Jamaica Social Stock Exchange allows, if you are in the diaspora, if you are here at Jamaica, wherever you are, when you give, there's a report.
Correct. And this is why we're engaging the Jamaica Social Stock Exchange in our NCB Building a Better Jamaica matching funds.
And you're also the chairman of the NCB Foundation. So with these two organizations, just, as we wrap up this business segment, why are they worthy of your time?
Sorry?
Why are both the Social Stock Exchange and the NCB Foundation worthy of your time? Why do you care?
Oh, me?
Yes.
Well, because I like the work that NCB Foundation does. We've narrowed our scope to education, but we do have, when there's a national disaster, we have to, private sector, support that.
Yes.
But the Jamaica Social Stock Exchange, it helps us. If we're giving money to them, we know that the money is being spent the way it's supposed to. It comes back to accountability, Denise.
Yes.
That's really what it is.
All right.
And so if I can collect money or help to raise money, and I know that money is safe, then of course it's less stress on me. I don't need any more stress in my life.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Ambassador Lynn.
Time now for the latest market updates from Denise Williams.
During trading for the period of July 31, 2024, the following companies represent the top 3 most active stocks that investors bought and sold on the Jamaica Stock Exchange. The following companies represent the volume leaders. Wigton Wind Farm Ordinary Limited shares with 11,141,625 units, representing 51.43% of the market volume in terms of equity sales. Radio Jamaica Limited with 4,612,251 units, representing 21.29% of the market volume in terms of equity sales. Carreras Limited with 1,032,201 units, representing 4.76% of the market volume in terms of equity sales. Over on the Twin Island Republic of Trinidad and Tobago Stock Exchange, trading on July 31st, 2021, registered a volume of 129,420 shares, crossing the floor of the exchange, valued at 876,590 Trinidad and Tobago dollars and 23 cents. Massey Holdings was the volume leader, with 109,990 shares changing hands for a value of 395,926 Trinidad and Tobago dollars and 39 cents, followed by JMMB Group Limited with a volume of 4,300 shares being traded for 4,765 Trinidad and Tobago dollars and 25 cents. Moving from the money moves of investors, executives, and companies on the regional stock markets, we turn to the Forex market. On July 31, 2024, the Bank of Jamaica reported that US $58.2 million was bought from Forex traders, while US $68.9 million was sold to Forex traders. Buying directly from the Bank of Jamaica, foreign currency traders sold the US dollar for $157.53 and bought the US dollar for $155.50. The difference between the buy and sell rate was $2.03, which represents a profit for Forex traders for every US dollar traded. Canadian Forex traders earned a trading profit of $2.65 from transactions with the Bank of Jamaica. The Canadian dollar was sold at $115.55 and bought for $112.90. For traders looking at the British pound, they pocketed a profit of $5.92, selling it for $201.57 and buying it for $195.65. For our credit report tip of the day, we once again put the spotlight on entrepreneurs looking for ways to maximize resources and grow business. And we also look at your credit score and credit report as an often overlooked asset. So here are 2 more tips to generate additional income. You can improve cash flow management. Use your credit to cover short-term expenses while waiting for receivables, helping to smooth out cash flow fluctuations and maintain operations. Also, you can invest in growth opportunities. With access to credit, you can invest in new equipment, technology, or marketing campaigns that can drive business growth and increase revenue. And with that, we wrap up today's business report. I'm Denise Williams. Appreciate your company. Stay well informed, stay ahead of the curve. Until our next update, take care.
In regional news, CARICOM leaders remain optimistic that fresh presidential and legislative elections will be held in Haiti by the end of 2025. Their optimism is due to the report presented by the head of the Transitional Presidential Council, Edgar LeBlanc Fields. Here's more in this report.
Fields delivered the report during the closed-door caucus meeting of the regional leaders that is ending later on Tuesday. Trinidad and Tobago's Prime Minister, Dr. Keith Rowley, said the regional leaders were encouraged by the report.
Well, we are quite happy that we made some significant progress with Haiti. You know, CARICOM, we had quietly and firmly worked on Haiti. We got the transition arrangement out of the way. We got the council in place, and the Kenyans are on the ground in Haiti, fully supported by the resource base of the Americans and the Canadians. These were things that were not there before, and we literally had to fight our way to that position. The Prime Minister is here, and I think we're in a much better place now, even though there's still a lot of problems there. But it's not as hopeless as it appeared when the gangs were roaming the street.
Haiti has been without an elected head of state since July 7, 2021, when President Jovenel Moïse was assassinated at his private residence overlooking Port-au-Prince. The murder of Moïse and subsequent events led to CARICOM establishing an eminent persons group in a bid to help solve the political and socio-economic situation in Haiti. The group is comprised of former Prime Ministers Dr. Kenny Anthony of St. Lucia, Perry Christie of the Bahamas, and Bruce Golden of Jamaica. St. Vincent and the Grenadines Prime Minister Dr. Raul Gonzalez says the humanitarian situation is very difficult in Haiti.
Remember, you have over half of Haitian population which is vulnerable to the issue of food insecurity, and then they need more police and who to pay for them, and what kind of additional support that CARICOM can give, and the role the council, the presidential council, and the eminent persons group would define what role the eminent persons group can play in going forward. The eminent persons group, they've done a fantastic job thus far in mediating and shepherding this process. They've started the process of having nominations for the Electoral Council. And I believe that the idea which they have in mind is that before the end of next year to have elections in Haiti, which is a lot of progress which has been made.
Prime Minister Rowley said that the caucus had also discussed the crime situation in the Caribbean.
Well, we discussed the legislative response to the criminal challenge, and interestingly, virtually all the territories had the same kind of problem, and we are considering another meeting to deal with focusing on the legislative responses, because it appears as though there are some things which we can and should do, but there are some obstacles in the way which are common to all of us, and therefore the Attorneys General would be looking at them to see how we can interface better with the judiciary and with the national community in dealing with the realities of the crime problem.
Informed sources said that Barbados has offered to host the next regional consultation on crime. On the issue of the implementation of free movement, CARICOM leaders had at one stage indicated that a definitive position would be taken before the Grenada summit. Prime Minister Rowley said it would be discussed before the summit ends. The caucus did not adopt any position on Venezuela, where presidential elections were held on Sunday and President Nicolas Maduro retained power.
There was a brief discussion on it, but it wasn't a conclusive discussion because time was very, very late. We left the caucus after 11 o'clock.
Does that mean CARICOM may not be issuing a statement one way on Venezuela?
I'm not so sure.
The situation is further compounded by the fact that several of the CARICOM leaders were not present at the summit.
Energy storage is crucial for Barbados' shift to renewable energy, stated Minister of Energy and Business Senator Lisa Cummins during a media conference with the Inter-American Development Bank, U.S. Department of Energy, RELP, and ministry officials. The event marked a 6-month progress report on Smart Energy 2030. Trevor Thorpe attended.
The Energy Minister told the conference government is happy with the work of the technical team and pointed out that their exploratory work on the procurement and the development of a green footprint for Barbados came at no cost to taxpayers. She said the renewable energy space is open to all Barbados, irrespective of the size of their involvement.
By deploying battery energy storage systems in the country, it allows us to treat to the broad issues on the grid to create that stability and to be able to unlock once and for all, at least in this very first tranche of procurement, the first batch of persons whose licenses are awaiting connections to the grid. The second thing that I would say then on that is that this is only the first batch of procurement. The expectation is that we will have subsequent procurement rounds, and we want to invite Barbadians to participate.
Co-founder and Chief Operating Officer of RELP, Mauro Soares, in giving background to the work done, told the conference a model for grid characterizations has been built, which would allow the technical team to set a strategy for the way forward.
And that should hopefully accommodate for all the licenses are out there granted and waiting for the interconnection, and also for the next procurement that has to happen, the next level of development of generation that will eventually substitute for the thermal generation and pave the way to 100% carbon-free future that has been set as an ambition by Prime Minister Mia Mottley.
Investment interest in the renewable energy sector is healthy, and the president of the Barbados Bankers Association, Shimon McIntosh, said funding is available, but banks are awaiting word from the technocrats.
Once we get over the hurdle with the storage issue, as I mentioned before, every bank has a pipeline of projects that are ready to go. So as long as we get storage going, we are ready to fund generation side projects or storage projects or co-located storage projects as well. So there's no shortage of appetite.
The technocrats have been working on the renewable energy development for the past 6 months. Trevor Thorpe for the Business Report.
In sports, we are on track with athletics. The much-anticipated athletics segment of the Paris Olympics kicked off at Stade de France on Friday, and the Caribbean's top sprinters lived up to the hype, advancing to the women's 100-meter semifinals with a mix of impressive performances and a few unexpected outcomes. Jamaican legend Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce, potentially in her final Olympic run, clocked 10.92 seconds to finish second in her heat, the fastest among Caribbean runners. Ivory Coast's Marie-José Talou-Smith led the heat with a season best of 10.87 seconds. St. Lucia's Julian Alfred led Heat 2 with a time of 10.95 seconds, while Trinidad and Tobago's Michelle Liayi and Cuba's Eunice Lady Garcia Abreu did not advance. Barbados' Tristan Evelyn did not progress from Heat 1, where Sha'Carri Richardson won with 10.94 seconds. Other notable performances included Great Britain's Daryl Nita, 10.92 seconds, Jamaica's Tia Clayton, 11 seconds, and Poland's Yua Swoboda, 10.99 seconds. However, Grenada's Holly Hazard and St. Kitts and Nevis's Zaria Allersley-Bird struggled, finishing out of the semi-final spots. That's the news on PBC Jamaica. You can follow us on our social media platforms at PBC Jamaica. Thanks for watching.